We'll put it on night driving for now. All right. Thank you guys for coming tonight. We got 2 of you guys. That's awesome. I appreciate that. There's been a lot going on over the last few days that has gotten my attention. A lot of things that I've been discovering, thinking about, listening to, some things that I need to try to solidify, crystallize in my own mind. Some different thoughts. It's hard to know where to start. So I'll start, let's see. I'll start here. Well, trying to think of which media clip to play, because those are cool. I don't really want to have to do a countdown, because you guys are co-conspirators. You're not here for a 30-second countdown. But I want to give you guys some eye candy or something. Here, let's play Gleam real quick. All right, that'll do it. So, let's see. Where should we start? Oh, there's just so many things. There's a couple of interesting conspiracy things that I want to bring up. I finally went through Behold a Pale Horse by Bill Cooper. Finally got through that. The audiobook available on Amazon is Bill Cooper actually reading it himself. So that's super cool. I actually see that there's more people than usual tuning in. That's kind of nice. Let me check out the comments and see what's up. I see you now. I don't have a chat button on, poor boy. I'm sorry. You and your dang apps. Dude, what iPhone do you have? Time to get a Samsung, right? Well, that's what I have anyways. S23 Ultra. So yeah. And let's see. 5 people. That's highly unusual. Okay. Time to cut to the chase. So, I listened to Bill Cooper's book. There was a few things in there that I want to hit on coming up soon. There was a lot in there about the family unit. There was even some stuff in there that I could see as being predictive of the pandemic. There was a lot of things in there. Wasn't anything specific about Bible translations, though. I wasn't terribly surprised. But that's okay. So I made it all the way through that. I've been working tirelessly. I've been tired for a lot of it. So it's not like I'm not tired when I do this, but I've been continuing to go through. And for anybody that's joining us that's not usually here, like I've said, I am not ready to go public with this information about the chapter that I am evaluating in New Age Bible versions. I am not ready to go public with it yet. But since you're co-conspirators, it's okay. Let me get rid of this banner. It doesn't need to be up anymore. Boom. No more distractions. So, I've continued to go through the chapter 40, the final Bible, every night for several weeks, as much as I can do. Some nights I don't get to it, other nights I do. And I'm telling you, every single point is like did you even read the book? It makes me so mad what she does. The latest one, let me check real quick. Let's see, right now I'm on the Silenced Scribes page. So let me go to Bible Version Conspiracy, Hermas and Barnabas. Which, by the way, you guys have access to that link. You guys are the only ones with whom I have shared the link. It is BibleVersionConspiracy.com/Hermas and Barnabas. All spelled out as one word. If you guys find the background music too distracting, please let me know. I just wanted to kind of play it for tonight. So let's see. We're going to do a screen split thingy-wingy. A thingy-wangy. Let's go. Present. Screen share. And boom. It has gotten to be a very, very, very long page, and my computer can no longer handle it. If I want to edit it, I have to edit it on my phone, which is a pain in the butt. But it works. It works. And that's the important thing, is that it works. We are up to, I think, $92 on our laptop fund wish list item, our only wish list item at the current time. And so yeah, we're making some progress, so that's good. Let's see, the Angel of Wickedness. That's an interesting one. Keep going, computer. You can do it. This was an interesting one. This is a forced contradiction. What she did in this case, this is part 2 of the so-called facts chart. Evaluating Hermas, number 38. What she does in this passage, I am sorry, there are no nice words to say this. I am totally disgusted at what she has done in her so-called representation of Hermas. It is embarrassing. She would never get away with this in any kind of peer-reviewed anything. I am not shocked. I'm horrified that anybody that has promoted New Age Bible versions, the people that gave her her honorary doctorate for writing New Age Bible versions, I am horrified that they let this go, that they let this slip through. Apparently, nobody had read Hermas before. Apparently, nobody had read Barnabas before. Least of all, Gail Riplinger. At least it doesn't seem like she did, or is she intentionally twisting the facts? I don't know. I want to have her look through all of this before I go public with it, before I go public with my criticisms. I want to be like, talk to me, tell me what I'm missing here, because I feel like I'm being gaslit. This is ridiculous. It is insulting to my intelligence as a human being. What she does here is she has number 38. Apparently this passage in Hermas contradicts the clear teaching of Scripture. Here's what she says it says. But perform thine own task, and thou shalt be saved. For they that busy themselves over much sin. By so fasting, number 38, unto God thou shalt do nothing for righteousness. Eat. ... Eat. ... Boom. ... Boom. There's dots all over this thing. What she doesn't give you is she doesn't give you what it says. She gives you a little tiny piece, and then she says that it contradicts 1 Corinthians 7:5, which says, give yourselves to fasting. And the new versions remove fasting from Mark 9:29 and Matthew 17:21. That's true. But Hermas doesn't remove fasting. It doesn't say anything against fasting. In the Bible, there are 2 different types of fasting. She didn't tell you this. She did not give a thorough evaluation of any of this stuff. She did not. Okay, so there's 2 types of fasting. One that's acceptable to God, like a righteous person does, so they can, devote themselves to prayer and you give their food to the needy and stuff like this. Then there's a bad kind of fasting where you're doing it for show, and you're doing it because it's a habit, or you're doing it for like I don't know, health reasons or something like that. That's not necessarily 100% evil, but you get the drift. It's not a godly type of fast. It still has a carnal temporal end for a result that is in mind. If you read Hermas, which you can do on your own, you can read the context of it in 150 verse 9 to 150 verse 11, and then 154 1. I believe this is parable 2, I forget. Come on. Okay, it's parable 5. If you want to read what it actually says about fasting, read parable 5. It says things like, this fasting, saith he, if the commandments of the Lord are not kept, if the commandments of the Lord are kept, is very good. This then is the way that thou shalt keep this fast, which thou art about to observe. First of all, keep thyself from every evil word and every evil desire, and purify thy heart from all the vanities of this world. If thou keep these things, this fasting shall be perfect for thee. And it does have, like I said, I've said before on this page, I've said before to you guys, there is an element of works salvation in Hermas. I will admit that. It's hard to tell exactly what it's saying about salvation many, many times. Baptism as well. The deity of Christ as well. But those different things are hardly talked about by Gail. Hardly. They're briefly mentioned. And there is page after page after page of rank nonsense. Did you guys catch the nonsense in this latest one that I've looked at? Please let me know if this makes sense. She says that Hermas, in this passage, contradicts First Corinthians 7:5, which says, give yourselves to fasting. In other words, Hermas says, by fasting, by so fasting, unto which that so fasting gives you a little clue, a little tiny clue. If you don't pick that clue up, you'll never know that Hermas actually says you should fast. And Gail left that there. There's a couple of spots where you're just, oh, wait. And then you go and you look it up and you're just like, I thought so. But perform thine own task, and thou shalt be saved, For they that busy themselves over much sin. She gives no comment on this. She just bolds the word sin for some reason. By so fasting, that's number 38, unto God thou shalt do nothing for righteousness. Eat. And her comment is that 1 Corinthians 7:5 is against Hermas. It contradicts Hermas. Hermas contradicts the Bible contradicts Hermas. So you must now choose between the Bible and the Shepherd of Hermas on the subject of fasting. Because Hermas says you shouldn't fast. It says you should eat. Because fasting's unprofitable. That's what it's saying. No, it isn't. And if you read it, like we just did, where it recommends that what you should do is you should do a profitable fast, a godly fast. Listen now, saith he, how to fast unto the Lord, neither is this a fast, this unprofitable fast, which ye make unto him. Wherefore, sir, say I, sayest thou this? I tell thee, saith he, that this is not a fast wherein ye think to fast, but I will teach thee what is a complete fast, and acceptable to the Lord. Listen, saith he, God desireth not such a vain fast, for by so fasting unto God thou shalt do nothing for righteousness, but fast thou unto God such a fast as this. Do no wickedness in thy life, and serve the Lord with a pure heart. Observe his commandments and walk in his ordinances, and let no evil desire rise up in thine heart, but believe God. Then, if thou shalt do these things, and fear him, and control thyself from every evil deed, thou shalt live unto God. And if thou do these things, thou shalt accomplish a great fast, and one acceptable to God. You guys can read this all in your own time. It is up there. It is available for you to read. And by the way, if you take into consideration Isaiah, what is it? I think it's Isaiah, where it talks about is not this the fast that I've chosen? You know, to loose every yoke and all these other things. It doesn't even mention sitting around not eating. If I remember correctly, it talks about doing good and being right with God. If that passage that we just read there doesn't imply that you should not eat, and if Jesus as well, talking about fasting, is not necessarily talking about just not eating. Maybe he's talking about living that way. I don't know. Living the way that God says to in the major prophets. I don't know. This fasting, saith he, if the commandments of the Lord are kept, is very good. This then is the way that thou shalt keep this fast which thou art about to observe, because he's about to observe a fast. He's not just going to turn over a new leaf. First of all, keep thyself from every evil word and every evil desire, and purify thine heart from all the vanities of this world. If thou keep these things, this fast shall be perfect for thee. And thus shalt thou do, having fulfilled what is written. On that day on which thou fastest, thou shalt taste nothing but bread and water. And for thy meats which thou wouldest have eaten, thou shalt reckon up the amount of the day's expenditure which thou wouldest have incurred, and shalt give it to a widow, or an orphan, or one in want. And so shalt thou humble thy soul, that he that hath received from thy humiliation may satisfy his own soul, and may pray for thee to the Lord. If then thou shalt so accomplish this fast as I have commanded thee, thy sacrifice shall be acceptable in the sight of God, and this fasting shall be recorded, and the service so performed and the service so performed is beautiful and joyous and acceptable to the Lord. How do you miss all of that? It is in the very same context, the very same parable as where Gail stole this little clip here from. But perform thine own task, and thou shalt be saved, for they that busy themselves over much sin, by so fasting unto God, thou shalt do nothing for righteousness, eat. This contradicts 1 Corinthians 7, which says to give yourself to fasting. No, it doesn't, Gail. I tell you, this is just one of, there's like 40 in the second half of the chart, the facts chart, and there's about 40 in the first part of it too. There is around 80 of these things where Hermas is misrepresented, Christian elements are removed purposefully in sequence to apparently make them appear pagan. It is disgusting. I'm sorry. I get stirred up about this nonsense. Thank you for making me question whether or not what was going on in her presentations and in this book, in this chapter, whether or not it was legit. Thank you for bringing that to my attention and for being like, hey, I wonder if those are actually true. If what she said about, taking the mark of the beast and giving up to the beast and killing Christians that don't take the mark of the beast, I wonder if that's really true. Well, I'm glad you asked, sir. I'm looking around for something to drink. I never found my water bottle. Gave it to my kid to get a drink. Never saw it again. There's a Propel over there. I got the fan to kind of cool me down a little bit. Let me grab a drink. Hang on a second. Lubricate my larynx, I guess. Wet my whistle. Both of them have alliteration. I guess that's good. Am I able to share a video file? Do I have a collection of video files on here? Yeah, let's listen to this. Let's listen to this piece of garbage, if it'll let me.
Talks about taking tattoos. Isaiah 44:5. It says that's something that's good to do. The King James is talking about something else. It says it's subscribe with his hand unto the Lord. It just meant raising his hand to the Lord. They've got you taking tattoos. We don't know that. You will find repeatedly in the NIV, in the most recent printings, they are beginning to capitalize the name. I believe there are dozens and dozens of places where they are starting to capitalize that name.
Why is that wrong?
Okay. Now, I found this picture in a Sunday news supplement. And I don't know if you can all read this. It's a young lady, and they were selling a t-shirt. And the t-shirt says, "One world, why can't we be friends? Living as one planet under one," what? Under one what?
Under one, why don't you find out?
I didn't buy the shirt to find out what it was, but I'd read the Bible, so I knew what it was. It was under one leader, under one ruler, a new world. Okay. Now, I found another ad in a magazine for a new AT&T card. And it also says the same thing, one world, one card. So for the people who aren't reading the new Bible versions, becoming indoctrinated with the concept of the one or he, the media is introducing this to people. Now, there are a group of Jesus seminar scholars out west. And I'll give you a quote of what they said. They said, quote, "If you think you have everything in your Bible you need, we don't." Okay, they're going to add some things. Let me tell you what they're going to add. They want to first omit the book of Revelation.
By the way, they never said that. I looked it up. I found the article. They never freaking said that. It's on the page. I've got all the documentation. I bought the magazine she's quoting. It's right here on my desk, and they never said that.
Versions becoming indoctrinated with the concept of the one or he. The media is introducing this to people. Now, there are a group of Jesus seminar scholars out west. And I'll give you a quote of what they said. They said, quote, "If you think you have everything in your Bible you need, we don't." Okay, they're going to add some things. Let me tell you what they're going to add. They want to first omit the book of Revelation. Now, obviously, we have all of our warnings about the whore of Babylon and the mark of the beast, so they've got to omit that. In its place, they want to introduce something called the Shepherd of Hermas. Now, the Shepherd of Hermas is in the Greek manuscript, Sinaiticus, underlying the New International. So if the New International Version translators were honest, they would have translated the book of Hermas because it is a part of their text in the Sinaiticus manuscript. My contention is if someone doesn't know what books belong in the Bible, how can they know what words belong in the Bible? But anyway, the book of Hermas tells us, number one, take the name. There it is, the name. Take the name of the beast. Number two, give up to the beast. Number three, one world government. Four, kill those not receiving the name. Not receiving the name. Kill them. Remember in Matthew it says, "The time will come when they think that whosoever killeth you does God's service." Okay? The book of Hermas actually...
She's saying that it says these things. It does not. In her book, she makes them say it, whether they say it or not.
Number three, form a one world government. Four, kill those not receiving the name. Not receiving the name. Kill them. Remember in Matthew it says, "The time will come when they think that whosoever killeth you does God's service." Okay? The book of Hermas actually tells people, kill those who won't receive the name. When they add this on to the end of the Bible, there will be people in churches reading this thinking, oh, we're to kill those who don't receive the name, and then they'll be out after, looking for Christians there. Now, that's one thing that they want to add, Shepherd of Hermas. The other thing that they want to start adding are the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, when the
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of hooey she spewed right there. A lot of hooey. Thank you for taking the time to research it. I was definitely curious about that chapter and those points in her lectures. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your curiosity. I had one run-in with something in Hermas, and that was where, in her chapter about Hermas, where she said that the Epistle of Barnabas says that Satan is Lord. In the early editions, she gives no explanation for that. Oh, good. It was exactly the clip that you were wondering about. Thanks. Good to know. Because that's going to be going on the page as proof. And I love it. They even flash her name up on the bottom of the screen. It's just like chef's kiss, Mwah. Okay. Anyways, we'll get into all of it more deeply as we move along. And Destiny, I'll tell you, every night that I work on this, I'm like, guess what I just found? 2 more things. Absolutely insane what she does with the text. It's just like, and there are people that are trusting Gail to find the most reliable readings in their Bibles, that are trusting her to interpret meaning with her Bible built-in dictionary thing. There are people that are trusting her with her New Age Bible versions, reevaluation of the texts of all sorts of people that have written things like Westcott and Hort or whatever. Proving that they're occultists or what have you. And there are people that are trusting her more than they are trusting an actual Greek scholar that have written lexicons, but what is it, BDAG or whatever it is, the responsible, Greek text lexicon or whatever, as Mark Ward calls it. Oh, that's all a bunch of hooey because Gail Riplinger says so in Hazardous Materials. Oh yeah, and she proves it. Does she? With her power of twisting and manipulating every single thing in Hermas and justifying it with how she twisted what Blavatsky said about Hermas, after that, I am completely disillusioned with Gail. And every time I go and I look for something else, like this wall has been busted over. Like, my goodness, it is like think of it as a wall made up of a whole bunch of bricks. It's been tipped over. It's been fragmented. And every single time I look at any of these points, another wheelbarrow load of these bricks is hauled away. Okay, time to talk about other things. So, I've been consuming a little bit of Mark Ward stuff recently. There is, let's see, a new book of his coming out, which I am super excited for it to come out. Oh, let me open this way. What if the King James Bible is being changed subtly, word by word, to conform the scripture with a New Age agenda? What if a new world religion is coming into being through the subtle changes that are being made in Bible translations today? What if King James Bible believing Christians are looking at words that are changing that aren't the actual words, that are being changed on purpose, and they're being distracted by this agenda on purpose? What if we're part of a psyop? And what if a person that makes every King James onlyist angry is helping, without his knowledge, is helping expose this psyop? What if Mark Ward is fighting the New World religion and we are getting in the way? That's something to think about. I'll never put it that well ever again. So the reason why I'm saying that is because I've talked about this before with distractions and things. Because with like I've mentioned it before, Disney on Ice, for example, it's something that the Watchmen whatever group on YouTube brought up one time, where they actually froze Disney's head or what have you, and to try to be like, kind of make fun of that. But then as a theory, oh, well, we didn't actually do that. We're not actually planning to resurrect him at some point when the technology is available or whatever. So they made Disney on Ice, because that would have been the phrasing. Today, we wouldn't necessarily say Disney on Ice. We might say something more like Disney Frozen. So if you go look up Disney Frozen, you're going to go see Frozen, which was produced by Disney. So these things that come up that distract you from what is being covered up. A blanket of veneer. Red herring. I don't care what you want to call it. The thing is how could that, because we already know from the New Order Barbarians that there is at least one agenda that is actually being played out. And that agenda is to take Bible words, keywords that would make it difficult for a new world religion to actually come into being. We already know that that part of it is happening. The Bible is supposed to be conformed to the new world religion so that it's compatible, basically, and so that Christians will kind of get amalgamated into it over time. We already know this is happening. So since it is happening, and since Richard Day also said that the churches aren't only going to stand for it, they will stand for it. They're not going to be like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. They're going to help them do it, and the ones that notice the changes won't be enough to matter. This was in 1969. So that's about 1970. 13 years later, I think it's 93, year after I was born, possibly, New Age Bible Versions comes out. Takes the world by storm. There are people that love it and that think it's terribly well researched. There are people like me in the middle that are like, she spent a lot of time, but there's a lot of problems. And then there's other people that are like, there's too many problems to count. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's stupid. Ignore it. So guess who the major piece that is talking a lot about the Bible changing to form a new world religion, who is talking about it a lot? Especially Gail. Ruckman hardly ever talked about it. Gail mostly, and then kind of trails off into David Daniels. David Daniels talks about it a good bit. And if I didn't know any better, I would think that that's what I'm trying to do. So, with the element of, wow, these people are stupid, coming on the scene. Reminds me of the flat earth. I'm highly suspicious. I'm not flat earth. I'm highly suspicious, however, that our moon landing scenario could have possibly been faked. It's a pretty good possibility in my mind. Joel Tillis did a video stream about it at one point, which every single one of his points, I was just like, Tillis, please stop. You're just embarrassing yourself at this point. It's not because of the flat earth arguments, it's because of the arguments that he tried to have against like the moon landing. Because he's like, oh, you'd think that if they're out on the moon that they'd see a bunch of stars in the sky. Well, there's no stars up there. And it's broad daylight and there's shadows. And it's like, dude, there's no stuff. There's supposed to be no real atmosphere. Bill Cooper would have something else to say. Since there's no blue in the sky, obviously. But guess what? It's daytime. There's shadows on the ground. Those stars are still getting drowned out by the sunshine. Honestly. Just over and over these kind of things. And then toward the end, it brought on, that guy. He produced like, or directed Eyes Wide Shut. Things like that. Forget his name. It'll come to me. But he actually confessed to helping them fake the moon landing tapes. Whether or not he was telling the truth is another matter. Why would he lie is the crux of the matter. So if the moon landing was actually faked, and say that Saya was, yes, Stanley Kubrick. If he actually did, and if Saya really wanted to cover it up, a psychological operation, how do we have 6 viewers? Is this public? It better not be public. Hang on a second. I had switched it to unlisted. I'm sorry for the dead air right now, but I need to load my page just to make sure that this is under wraps where it should be. Should be an unlisted link. Live. Yeah, it's unlisted. Oh, and by the way, as co-conspirators, you're kind of obligated to not be sharing private links, FYI. So if you're all like, oh, I'm going to show Gail what this creep is saying, get out of the co-conspiratorship. I don't trust you. Because I can talk with her myself. I am not ready to talk with her about these issues, but I'm just getting madder and madder all the time, and maybe it'd be good for things to cool off first. I will handle it in my own way. I don't need you guys sharing links that you are entrusted with. That's betraying trust. There's been things that Gail has shared with me, and she has said that I do not have permission to share them publicly, and I'm just like, okay, I won't. I won't, and I don't. So yeah, if I send you a link, that's for you. You don't go get to, sharing it with people that you think are appropriate parties. I mean, maybe your family, okay, but that's not cool. It's not cool. Okay, so now that I'm off of that. Okay, so the moon landing being fake or what have you. Psychological operation to take care of this moon landing scenario is to construct something that is absolutely ridiculous and stupid that everybody's going to reject, and have it become very popular. Oh, so popular and widespread. And for one of its major tenets is to be the idea that you can't land on the moon, and that it was faked. Sound familiar? That's flat Earth. So I think, and Moon Man, I don't know if that's the name of the book. I should go check for that book, really. The Confessionals podcast did an episode called Moon Man, and the guy went through all of it and stuff, and that was kind of the consensus that I got to. I was just like, okay, flat Earth sounds like it's a psyop to cover up this fake moon landing. It made sense. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's legit, but it makes all the sense in the world. That being said, how much? Because I am already 100% convinced, and I hope that you guys are kind of on the same boat, at least at this point, you know, in our long-standing relationship, that King James Onlyism is being manipulated by outside and inside forces. We're not everything that we sometimes crack ourselves up to be. So, in that regard, when we have archaic words, or false friends as Mark Ward calls them, that we don't know. Like, he gives an instance, he gives several examples. Halt, study, mansion, these different words meant something different in 1611, and when they're included in the Bible text, they could easily mean these other things, like mansion, rooms. In modern versions, it says rooms. In the older kind of speech that would have been used around 1611, as Mark Ward demonstrates in his videos, mansion simply means room. And the development to what we think of today as a mansion, it happens slowly over time from that point. Same thing with halt. We think stop. Used to mean limp. Halt. Oh, and then the other one, study. Study also used to mean just be diligent about something. I've heard it used in that sense. I had very little trouble accepting Mark Ward's postulation, his statements about that. I had very, very little difficulty, because I have heard it used that way, to be diligent in something, not necessarily just to, you know, hit the books. So when we have King James Bible believers that, and there's a leap here too. Hang on a second, I got blue news. I realized this while I was stocking shelves earlier today. Hopefully we can do an after show tonight as well. Nick Sayers had another good live stream today critiquing Mark Ward. Yes, he did. He had a stream talking about the NKJV thing, and his video announcing a debate coming up. Yep. I haven't watched Nick Sayers for some time now, because the videos are all at Mammoth. I am interested in hearing what he has to say about the word study, especially, but in a context that is not stretched out over a period of 8 hours. The thing about all of this is that we went from, I don't want people updating the King James Bible because they're making modern versions, and I don't trust these people. I don't trust them to update my Bible. It went from that, it goes automatically without us even realizing it. It shifts to you can't update the King James Bible, or else just that fact means you're sinning. I'm not saying that I agree with updating the King James Bible. I don't trust these people either. I would not. I am on the fence. I am on the fence so far. I I know Brian Ross is pretty much okay with updating it. The case for an update becomes more convincing to me over time as I keep looking at the information. I'm not sure yet. I still have to do a lot more thinking on it. But what I don't like is that there is apparently no bridge. We just make this leap over this chasm from I don't trust people trying to update the King James Bible because they're going to corrupt it. Okay, well then what if somebody, a given, a geometrical given, they are trustworthy and they update the King James Bible just to reflect changes in language and there is no subterfuge going on? Which, funny enough, that's the best way that I can describe what I am seeing in New Age Bible versions. If there's no subterfuge going on, then why can't it be updated? Oh, well, you can update the Bible. You can't change the text of the Bible. All of those archaic words need to be there just as they are, which is what I've believed for a long time. And I'm entertaining, I'm not, being like, oh, I'm going to go, grab some other opinion or whatever, but I'm also willing to listen to other people's opinions that disagree with me. Most other King James onlyists apparently are not. And I'm not trying to talk down to them. I'm not trying to talk down to you if that's how you are. But the thing is if you don't listen, you'll never learn. And you probably are wrong. If you don't want to listen to somebody to support an opinion that you just want to hold, that means you're probably wrong. You know enough about a subject to think you're right without knowing enough about a subject to know whether or not you're wrong. And that's what I'm trying to do, is trying to learn these things. So, people don't like Mark Ward because he advocates for the critical text, and he also says that a revision of the King James Bible is necessary. People don't like those things. King James only people do not like those things. But the false friends thing, where we read the Bible and we see the word let, we see allow. As Sam Gipp has said countless times, the word let could mean to allow, or it could mean to disallow, to hinder. The sense has switched over time, completely, 180 degrees. Means the complete opposite of what it used to. Sometimes, apparently, it means both things. That being said, that makes let a false friend. Sam Gipp was talking about false friends before Mark Ward even opened, a college textbook or what have you. I think that's pretty fascinating. I am not opposed to the idea of there being false friends, because I would like to know exactly what my Bible's saying, how it is saying it, and how it uses words that I already think I know, but in fact I actually don't. I want to be able to read my Bible effectively and know what words mean. It seems like most other people, when they see or hear Mark Ward, they go, this is awful, this is evil. And when Mark Ward says something is a false friend, their automatic response is, no, you can't change the King James Bible, and I'm going to defend that I know what this word means, and I'm going to defend my modern perception of this word tooth and nail. And the reason for this is because they feel that they are defending the Bible by defending the way they read the Bible. The thing is that there's a lot more to learn about the Bible, especially a 400-year-old translation, than some of us are probably willing to admit. I don't know what y'all think about those kind of things, but these things are things that I think about a lot. I've actually had authorized on my bottom shelf there for a long time, along with all the other modern version, King James only critical books that I could find. There is one that I've had on my list for some time that I haven't bought yet. I should do that. You can buy me a book on buymeacoffee.com. You know, it's like $5 a book, something like that. But you don't have to. You guys are already too generous, and I appreciate you. Not that other guy. Not the guy that you think I'm appreciating. I appreciate you. Let's see. And I'm super stoked to get the more expanded exhaustive book by Mark Ward about King James words you don't know. I am highly looking forward to that. And I love the title. He's, from what I've seen, his production level, his websites, his design, his logos, his just his literary skills too, his wordsmithdom. I love it. I respect his creativity. So, let's see. Oh, and guess what else I found out? I actually accepted. No, I didn't accept. He accepted. I proposed to Mark Ward. No, I didn't. Will you friend me? All right. So, anyways, I sent a friend request to Mark Ward, and he confirmed it. I had sent one a long time ago, but you know it got ignored. But that's okay. So I've made a lot of comments on his videos before, well, since then, and sent him a message and stuff on Messenger. And then, you know, sent him a friend request, and he accepted within like a day or two. And I was like, "Oh, this is cool." So I was like, I wonder if he'll ever interact like on my timeline or something, or I don't know. And I had posted a couple of his videos before I even sent him a friend request. And lo and behold, he leaves a comment on one of the posts that I made of his video, the one where I was kind of cannibalized a little bit by a couple of people. And I will admit, Joey Faust and Brian Peterson messaged me as well. They both make pretty good cases that the word study can and was used back then in both senses. One thing that I don't like is when somebody refers to Webster's 1828 and tries to say that that's how they were used the words in 1611, and it's like, no, it's not. That was a distinctly American dictionary as opposed to British definitions, and it was a lot later than 1611 by a little over 100 years. So, not entirely interested in that. He does do some good things. He does use the Bible as for his definition source a lot of the time, or at least as, you know, use this word in a sentence. He quotes the Bible. So it's pretty good, but what I would want to check as far as word meanings would be something like the Oxford English Dictionary or OED, and especially the LEMI, which is the Lexicon of Early Modern English by University of Toronto. I'd want to check that as well, just to try to get a feel for things. I don't know quite how to utilize it yet, but they're pretty good resources that I've dabbled in just a little bit. So there's links for these things on our website, BibleVersionConspiracy.com. So let's see. Yeah, one guy was like, you know, are you on drugs? How could you think that Mark Ward's making a good point? And so it's like, dude, I don't even know you. But yeah, I I don't know. I've seen them around, I think. It's hard for me to keep people straight on Facebook. They all look the same. They're a little circle on my screen. I don't know. Just a few more minutes. Bear with me a few more minutes, and we'll get to a live chat. And if my are able to jump on, you guys will be able to meet them, and they'll be able to meet you guys. That'd be great. Hopefully that'll be a blast. So let me read something that I screen captured. And there's actually a link if you go to this post. It's the one on the word study, I believe. Mark Ward leaves a link for his King James Bible research program or something. I forget what it is. But it's basically a website where you can take a survey and you can see how many false friends you already know. And I also started watching Authorized, and I'm into that about 15 or so minutes. The documentary that accompanies his book. So anyways. All right, so he talks to a dude named James, and he says, "My friend, that is effectively what I am doing and have done. I am doing and have done. I have a new book coming out in 2025 with Lexham Press called KJV Words You Don't Know What You Don't Know." And that's the thing I was explaining to my wife earlier today. A false friend is actually worse. Midnight. A false friend is actually worse than an archaic word. An archaic word you already know you don't know. You go look it up. Take care of it. Find out what's going on. And you're done. Pretty much. You look it up in a few different places. I would anyways. A word you don't know, like halt, study, mansion, things like this, you don't go look them up. You assume that you know the meaning, and that's the end of it. I would highly encourage everybody watching this secret stream to go watch the documentary by Faith Life, I believe it is, called Authorized. It's by Mark Ward. Watch it. Take some notes. And let me know what you think. I am very interested in your opinion about it. And yet KJV readers, including on this very thread, with long dashes, so emphasis, including on this very thread, commonly revile me instead of listening to my patient instruction. Yes, I advocate for moving away from the KJV in institutional settings like pulpits and camps and scripture memory systems. Though not in the study, I use my KJV study in the study every day. But it should be relatively easy for KJV-onlyists to chew up the meat of my instruction on the KJV English and spit out what they consider to be the bones of my actual policies on the use of modern versions. And then I like this. I screen capture this and I put it in my best moments folder in my my drive. Very few do this. Joseph Armstrong appears to be one, however, exclamation mark, and I appreciate it, exclamation mark. And I'm just like, woohoo! That was cool. So, like I said, I appreciate very much the depth that he is adding to my understanding of the words that I see in the Bible and that I read. Because there are words that I don't know, and I am learning more of them. And that's good, because I'm learning more about what the Bible is saying. That in turn, like study and mansion and things like this, You go to a modern version and you compare it to the King James Bible with your modern sense, and you go, oh, study means study the Bible. Okay, I got it. And then you look at a modern version and it says be diligent, and it's like, oh, they changed the Bible. They removed a commandment to study. If study meant in that text to be diligent, and of course, I'm going to check it out because it's about, words and English and all this other stuff. I love it. Alrighty. Where was I now? I should figure out how to rewind myself to remind myself what I was saying. Oh, let's see. It'll come to me. So if we're getting, oh, this is changing the Bible. They removed a commandment to study the Bible. Just not really a commandment to study the Bible. It's not. It's just used that way a lot by KJV only dispensationalists. You're going to look at these two differences, this difference, and you're going to be like, oh my goodness. Modern versions remove that command to study the Bible. Or you could be like, oh, study meant be diligent in 1611 over here, and be diligent is how I would say it, so that's why it says that in the modern version, because it's trying to talk the way I do and not how King James would have talked. Read some of King James's writings sometime, and you'll see what I mean. Or you could listen to the audio of... I recommend this one too. Sorry, there's a list of recommendations. I should really put links in the description for all this. There's a video that was made in tandem with Esoterica, I believe, which is a YouTube channel that talks about, the occultism, history of occultism, stuff like this. And I think it was kind of in conjunction with them or something. I don't know, but they were part of the project somehow in some capacity. And they actually have the original pronunciation of how King James would have spoken the words that he gave in his demonology. It's kind of creepy and weird, a little off-putting, but I would recommend listening to it in your own English, because if you try to listen to it in the so-called, the King's English, so to speak, for lack of a better term, you're either going to have a hard time understanding it, or if you make all the way through, you're going to come out the other side talking a little interestingly. So it's quite an audio, I'll tell you that. Or mansions. I can't believe it. Modern versions are downgrading us to rooms in a hotel or something. This is ridiculous. This is insane. Christ has so much in store for his church. It's well, what if he's just using a metaphor? In the Father's house, you really think that heaven is shaped like a house? And a mansion, if you say there are many rooms or dwelling places or whatever in a modern version, and if in 1611 mansion meant a room or a dwelling place, then there's no problem. But if you don't know that you don't know these words, what happens? You look at it, you look at a modern version, and you go, ha! They're trying to change the Bible here. Look, they're trying to change the Bible here. Look. That's just what they're doing. I spied it. Ha ha ha. They can't get away with those kind of things when I'm around. Or can they? Because if that was a false friend, where you thought, oh, that word meant, oh, once you find that out, you're just like, oh, well, I don't have to make a huge deal. I am not committed to the argument that they remove a command to study or what have you. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it was Gail that was the first person to say that. I don't know if it was Ruckman that was the first person to say that, or Grady, or Gip, or who. I don't know who was the first person to say that. I don't. If it was Gail, I am so not committed to upholding the idea that study or mansion or halt or what have you is, an intentional, that's part of the New World Order plan. I can't be committed to that. And I'm not even committed to it anyways. Who made this a doctrinal statement? For goodness sakes, if I'm just a run-of-the-mill King James onlyist, which I am, and I just am like, I'm sorry, I don't agree about the whole study thing. People are saying that study is a command to study the Bible, and I don't see it that way, because I'm familiar that study has the other sense in which it's diligence, and in Greek, the word is to be diligent, and modern versions say to be diligent because that's how I speak, and they're trying to speak like me. With all of that, and I just agree with Mark Ward on that one point. Holy cow. It was just, if we're friends on Facebook, go right ahead and read the comments on that. I didn't respond back to any of it. I just let them go. I was just like, have fun commenting. Because they just, some people just pitched a fit. Because we're committed to the vast array of King James only argumentation, because we're currently making those arguments and we don't want to be wrong. We could be right, but we could also be wrong. I think that King James only advocates, people, stuff like this, are basically correct. But I think also that we are being distracted by things that these are decoys, basically. And Mark Ward could be a decoy, distracting us from the people that are actually doing the dirty work. Probably without his knowledge as well. There's a lot to think about, though. And I think a lot about Rebecca Brown and her book with just Satanists basically permeating Christian culture. It makes it really difficult to trust people after that book. But one of the things that I really got from it was that it was it's like an open confession of dedication to specifically the Jesus of the Bible, who died, rose again, defeated death, all that stuff. That he's your Lord and your Master. If somebody is unable to make this very specific confession, apparently in Rebecca Brown's book. They're no good. But I was like, wait a second, there's a stand-in confession. There's something else that people can say instead of, I serve the Lord Jesus Christ that was born of the Virgin Mary, that died on the cross, was raised again from the grave, defeated death, conquered hell, ascended up to God. He's my Lord, he's my master, all this stuff. There's a substitute test for orthodoxy today. Oh, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. Oh, yeah, I believe in Jesus. Oh, yeah, and I'm very, very spiritually developed in my Bible study and stuff. Oh, yes, I am very well versed in the Bible. Just like the high priest that ended up destroying Elaine's church. Elaine and Rebecca's church. Oh, yeah, that guy. I believe his name was, the one that they gave him was Rick or Rich. I forget. Anyway, he was rich, incidentally. But guess what the new password is? The new test, the new litmus test. People have said it over and over and over again in these different article titles, how King James onlyism became the litmus test for orthodoxy. Ooh, what? So guess what? Oh, I believe in Jesus. Oh, and guess what else? I'm King James only. You probably didn't know that about me, but I only use the King James Bible because it's God's inspired word. Yep. It's the inspired one. It's based on the right Greek manuscripts. They made all the right textual decisions. They made all of the right translational decisions. And I believe the King James Bible. Cool. But guess how often we as King James Bible believers actually take that as, this is a good person. This is somebody that's trustworthy. This is somebody that I can listen to and not be afraid because they use a King James Bible. How often do we just assume, oh, he's fine, he's good, because he said all of the King James only shibboleths? A lot to think about. We've been going for an hour and a half. So I messaged Mark Ward a few times, had a little bit of conversation with him and stuff. I've got some questions that I want to ask him. We'll get there. And I found out something super cool. I think he's in New York City now, but I'm not sure. He grew up about from where I grew up. Mind blown. I have heard the name of where he lives so many times in my life. It's just ridiculous. I was just like, that is so cool. And I was just like, I sent him the emoji that was like, the fat guy at the office or whatever in his white shirt, and he was like well, like this or like, that kind of thing. So, yeah, that was really cool to find out. That means there's actually a potential to actually meet this guy at some point. That'd be awesome. So, anyways. Which is funny because with me being on YouTube and stuff, it's like, there's some people out there that are also excited to meet me. It's so weird. Like, I saved this to my highlights as well, or my best moments. There was a guy that came into the Friends of Gail Riplinger group, and he's just like, what? Joseph Armstrong's here? Wow, that's so cool. And I was just like, oh, that's so cute. Screen capture. But anyways, it's fun. It's fun. I appreciate being able to get my ideas out here for you guys. There's a lot of different things that we're thinking about looking into. I'm pressed for time. I'm trying to find some time and also procrastinating at the same time on actually planning out content for the future. I gotta just do it, but you gotta pray for me, please. It seems like I eat up a lot of my spare time with just the procrastination end of things. And also working on the web page about Hermas and Barnabas is eating up a lot of that time. But I tell you what, it's going to be an endless string of content once it's finished. Alrighty, let's turn this over into a video chat. Yeah, we can probably record this part of it too. It might be neat to get your ideas on and everything. If there's anybody that's uncomfortable with this being recorded, then please let me know. But this recording is for your eyes only. This won't be going public. This is a private stream just between you and me. But like I said, we can hit that end stream button and we can all jump right on in to that StreamYard link. I can add you all to the stage. I can add, I think, up to 10 people or so. And yeah, have a little conversation. You guys can, share your thoughts, your hopes, your dreams. And by the way, as far as hopes and dreams and stuff, there's a potential that we may be the company out that I applied to. They're currently trying to figure out whether or not they they want to invest in me, and also if they can give us what we need. So stay tuned, and please keep us in prayer. We've got a lot of big decisions to make, and I keep trying to put them off and put them off and put them off as much as I can. But I think I'm going to say yes. If they're able to meet our demands, our criteria, I think I'm going to say yes. I'd love to meet Mark Ward first, though, because I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. I'd love to meet a lot of people, but we'll see. I appreciate you guys being here. I don't see anybody opposed to a recording. So if you go back to your Buy Me a Coffee app, or I message it to you because your app doesn't work on your phone, buy a new phone, please. Or do something, I don't know. Head on over there, click that StreamYard link, populate down here so I can click you up, and we shall proceed from there. I'll play some music for you. All right, let's see. Sorry. Let's get some music up here. Maybe I'll just play down through the logos real quick. So, I guess I could ask for any feedback that you guys had about tonight's stream, because eventually all of this nonsense is going to be public, so I just gotta try to figure out what I'm saying beforehand, and I appreciate being able to test it out on you guys. So,
so how are you going to be balancing highly debating whatever chapter that is, chapter 40 or whatever, and contradictions and nonsense that Gail has said or proposed to have said, and all this mansions and studies and all that stuff, versus I'm gonna send her thank you boxes. I don't know if it's throwing the baby out with the bathwater, or what is your kind of thoughts?
Yeah.
On that.
So right now,
and all that.
My plan so far, I haven't written it down, but my basic plan is to get the whole thing set up, keep things copacetic for now. The thank boxes thing, she's requested that I stop doing the thank boxes. I think I forgot to tell you. But apparently the reason for that is because she wants me to spend the time necessary to construct these thank boxes with my family. And I'm just like, well, it takes me 15 minutes to make one of these things. And it's like 4 times a year. So it's like, why? But that I highly doubt that that's the real reason. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to respond to her about that one. But there's also no reason for her to do that. I'm also thinking about possibly delegating it out to somebody else. There's a guy that I've kind of considered, but I've kind of been like, as a second admin for the Friends of Gail Riplinger group, and maybe he would do it. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. Of course, he would charge me an exorbitant fee, so I'm hesitant to ask him. So anyways, keep things, basically, the way they are for now, and just kind of keep teasing it out, but not too heavily, because it's just so far down the pike as far as making this thing. Once the page is all set and I have point by point, I want to have every single point dealt with, not necessarily in the order that they're given, probably a topical one to relate with the 12 mandates of the Antichrist, so-called, and then point by point through the chart. Get all of it laid out, get all of it saying things how I want them to say them, because the way that I'm typing them out right now, it's just very obvious that I am angry and spiteful. So I kind of want to maybe tone that down a little bit, but I don't want to remove all of the flavor, so we'll see how it works out. But then once that's set and I have it so I am showing Gail herself, then I plan to send it to her and be like, I've been working on this for a long time. I feel I have immersed myself in this subject. I think that you have grossly misrepresented Hermas and Barnabas, and I would love to get your feedback on what I think I am seeing here. Get her feedback. If there's anything major or whatever, she's just like, oh no, well, this and that. And, I'll just be like, okay, I will put your response on the website if I agree with it or not. If I see something where I'm like, oh yeah, actually, shoot, that's right, I'll change it. But, just so you know, this is going to be going public, and I'm giving you the chance to look at it. I'm not giving you the chance to stop it from going public. And I would also appreciate if you don't go sharing your criticism and everything before I even have a chance to make it go public, because that would just be stupid, because then nobody could actually check what you're even saying. So, but anyways, that's just thinking out loud, that part of it. So that would make a lot of sense. But I could just see I don't know. The politics with the Riplingers is just, it's frustrating. But yeah, that's kind of the plan as far as the Hermas and Barnabas things goes. But yeah, I've thought that I've been thinking for a long time that I want to distance myself from the Gail Riplinger kind of reputation, because I don't really see it leading anywhere, and it also kind of detracts from a lot of points that I want to make. So distancing myself from Ruckman and Riplinger especially was, I thought, key to even making this channel in the first place. And that was before I even thought that there was anything really wrong with their book. I just kind of wanted to not have my reputation linked with theirs. But now that I'm seeing all of these problems, I'm just like, oh my goodness. How do I even recommend anything by her anymore, ever? It's like, but, you know, just because, and it's so fascinating because she's like the only person that has really talked about a new age or new world order connection with modern versions. The only person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my niche too. But finding out that one of your biggest resources is, you know, less than trustworthy is a little frustrating. I'm sorry, did you want to go off the... Okay, because your thing just popped down, so I just put you back up.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
I didn't know what happened.
Yeah. Who knows? Technology. But yeah, I mean that's kind of the plan that I have right now. I don't know if that answered your question or if it put you to sleep. I'm not positive.
No, that's it. That's good.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it happens.
Or if she sends you another cease and desist letter.
Yeah. She sends me a cease and desist letter. I'm just gonna be like,
Maybe that's what all this goes back to.
It could be. I don't know. I'm not sure how I would take that. I'm sure that I'd be very crude and mad and everything like this, and then I'd just type back, oh, well, I don't quite see it that way.
I mean, I'm just kind of wondering who else, you know, she corresponds with. I mean, this book's been out for 30 years, and you know, it's a lot of vitriol on both sides. Oh, she's terrible. We don't like anything she has. She's dishonest. Versus people that kind of agree. I mean, who else out there is having this kind of correspondence like you have?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's other people.
And I know it's on his, you know, 100th revision edition. I guess
Probably
through the years.
Yeah, there's probably been some fixes, but I think a lot of it's been the style, and a lot of it has been expanding it as well.
Right.
But not a lot of really good fixing if they missed what I've seen in Hermas. I mean, just that, and then even just some of the quotations, like I've already mentioned, with she says, oh, it says give up to the beast, and then in one spot, one of the major spots, it says give up on the beast. And I'm just like, wow, people really analyze this chapter real good. It still says give up on the beast. I don't know, sorry. I probably interrupted you. It's frustrating. But yeah, hopefully it all just pulls off without a hitch. And it's just, well, Joseph, I see where you're coming from. I'm just going to agree to disagree. And then just kind of, you know, deal with whatever. But that's not how she really works. And this is the perfect storm, this chapter. It is like, it's I guess it's kind of like a trap, kind of, for Gail. It's really weird how it works. I thought of another angle that it really evades what she usually does earlier today. There's the fact that it doesn't deal with the King James Bible. Because it's criticizing a text that has nothing to do with the Bible version issue. It only is included in one Greek manuscript, Sinaiticus, and that's it. So when like Brian Ross is coming at Gail about, the King James Bible revision kind of thing, or the Barbara Aho stuff with Gail's recommendation of like Kabbalistic kind of sources that have been seen and stuff, and all of that, but that's involving the King James Bible stuff and definitions and things, where Hermas is just reading a text and it's completely unrelated. So she can't pull the, oh, you're trying to change the Bible card on somebody, because first of all, not. Second of all, it's got no bearing on the subject whatsoever. And what was that? There was something else that I thought of earlier today at the store. I didn't write it down. I probably should have. It might come to me. But then again, it might not. It'll probably come back to me at some point. But yeah, it's just like, when I was thinking about it, I was just like, wow, this really sets up this whole scenario where it's just like, and why it even had to come in there is a huge question. It's the logical conclusion kind of the book, because it's projecting into the future, like Bryn said.
Yeah.
That's the logical conclusion, but it's rough. And then the whole thing being based on her assumption about the word Lucifer, and then trying to defend her assumption being the whole basis for the book. It's like the beginning and the ending of the book are just so screwed up. In the middle of it's mostly probably borrowed.
Loosely quoted.
Yeah, right.
Which has been a problem from the beginning.
Yeah.
And even going back to that Hermas and Barnabas, the whole foundation of that was that this group in Arizona wanted to add it to the Bible, right? And you discovered that that's not what they were saying. And so that in and of itself, they're not even, that wasn't the goal to add it to the Bible. So what are we even doing talking about Barnabas and Hermas? If that's misquoted,
Exactly.
then none of the rest of it really matters. So.
Yeah. And that's the only thing that she and she doesn't even in writing.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't say that they want to add Hermas and Barnabas. She says that in her speech, but she doesn't put it in writing.
Yeah.
What she says in writing is that this canon seminar, they said
I mean, it is very it's a sensational statement. I mean, it perked my ears when I heard it in that presentation. I was like, whoa, seriously? That's what they're gonna do?
Oh yeah. I mean, it does.
Like, are they adding it yet? Have they added it yet?
Which is funny, because I actually asked Don Wilkins in my little messenger exchange with him. One of the things I ended with was, I was like, okay, regarding Hermas and Barnabas, I was like, are there any plans to add Hermas and Barnabas to the Bible happening anytime soon? And he said, yes.
Really?
He said as soon as the Apostle Paul resurrects and okays them, they're going to add them to the Bible.
He really said it like that?
Yep.
That's funny. I after your video last week, I went and rewatched the John Ankerberg deal, because I had watched it a few years back, and I remembered that scene where he cleared his throat, and I was like, I remember watching that. It wasn't cut. And then I watched it and saw, the whole scene again. I'm like, yeah, he didn't lose his voice. He took a sip of water and
yeah.
kept going.
Yep. And then Sam Gipp, as far as I'm aware, he was the last one to actually make a video on the whole conversation about the fiasco. And in that video, he was like, "No, I am still holding that this is exactly what happened." He was asked whether or not these people are losing their voices and dying and everything like this. He was asked to respond. He couldn't respond. He was like, I can't talk. And then he, takes, his water. He gets himself together. He, it takes a while. Everybody's freaking out, all this stuff. And, he poses the question to him again or what have you. And then, he's got a little frog in his throat or whatever right there real quick. And he's like, oh, I'm losing my voice. And Sam Gibbs says, we all laughed because he had just lost his voice just before that. And now he's having this little cough or whatever. And I'm just like, well, that's not necessarily funny. I mean, the other one's funny. But, like the one that you see on the Ankerberg program. But anyways, that's apparently what Sam Gibbs said, is that this whole thing actually happened before that coughing thing. But yeah.
Did they specifically stop tape and re-ask the question?
Apparently. And then in the recording that they have right now, it's not even response to the losing voice dying prematurely question. It's it's a question about what, if I remember correctly anyways, you can please go watch it because I'm probably wrong. But the question posed was what Don Wilkins and the people that they delegated to look into Gail's research, what they had found. And that's what the question was about. And then he has this little, rasp or, frog in his throat or whatever. And he's like, oh, I'm losing my voice. And then, takes a drink of water and he collects himself and all this. And like James White said, if a little, okay, I'm good. If that's all that God can do, then that's really sad. But apparently Gail also claims in her book, like I read, that she actually prayed for that to happen, for him to lose his voice, or for somebody on the program to lose their voice. It's a very interesting scenario.
Yeah.
Oh, which is why we're all here, because this subject is just so convoluted and just
It's more convoluted the more I look into stuff.
Thus saith the Lord that you would die prematurely or something, or you'll lose your voice or something.
I don't remember her saying that.
What's going on?
A video she made, this like prophetic declaration about him losing his voice, though, or all these people were gonna lose their voice.
My wife was asking if Gail said something like that they would lose their voice, or like God
had told her,
like God had told her that they would lose their voice. I don't know if I remember that.
I thought that's what I heard in that video that you watched.
That maybe other people said that that's what she was saying, but like she said that she had documented that several people had lost their voice, like Ken Taylor and different people had lost their voice, or they went insane or something, or I think even someone might have died. But
and yeah, if you guys see anything on YouTube or any results that you're like, oh well, if I don't have it on the playlist, then please send me a link or whatever so I can add it, because I want to try to have every video that deals with it on that playlist.
Okay.
So it's called Silenced Scribes. So, and also working on that webpage still, which will hopefully go into all the detail that I can find about the issue. We'll just have to see what happens. Yeah.
Oh, well, the one thing that you were saying earlier tonight too, I thought was pretty interesting. That connection with the New Order, was it New Order Barbarians and Gail's book, like some kind of connection or something that you were seeing there, or that her book, there might be a conspiracy that her book is used to maybe change the language of the Bible or cause people to think that something's changing, or I don't know. It was it made me think like, oh, maybe there's a connection there.
Right. Well, what I was thinking is that it's kind of like it could be part of the psyop, coming after that to kind of, make King James Onlyism what it is today.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I could see it being part of the psyop, or at least being used along those lines to, oh, these people are crazy. But then, the book also had to look very well researched at the same time to have just as many people be like, oh, wow, this is a really great book.
Yeah.
So it kind of met both criteria that way. But it also... there's just so little of it. From my memory, I've got to go back through the whole thing. There's so much of it that's... so little of it that's actually important, that's original with her. And like, the thing with capitalizing the word name and capitalizing the word one and the Lucifer thing and the Shepherd of Hermas Epistle of Barnabas thing and all that kind of stuff, those are all Gail originals. And it's like they're just total claptrap. And a lot of the stuff that, is more legit, like, a lot of different manuscript things, or some things about Westcott and Hort that she probably also got from somebody else like D.A. Waite or people like this, and those things that, are actually more mainstream King James Onlyism, they were already existent. They just kind of got popular because they got put in there.
Yeah. And
also they got more heavily criticized by people like James White and people like this that responded to her. So that kind of responded to the popularization of what was already existent. But I really wish that James White's book was an audiobook. I would love to actually reach out to them and be like, why isn't your King James Only Controversy available in audiobook? And if it is, please send it to me, or at least tell me where I can get it. Because if there's, if there's a lot in there that's responding to the Gail originals, which there doesn't really seem to be, like, the stuff with like the name, the one, or like the name, or the presence, or different things like that. A lot of it doesn't seem to really be dealt with, and more so focusing on the Westcott and Hort stuff and the manuscript stuff. Since the Gail originals aren't, I want to think more about how that actually plays in with them not actually responding to the Gail originals. It just seems kind of suspicious.
That is very strange.
And I don't mean so much like there was this plan where they weren't actually going to talk about the Gail originals. It sounds to me more like they were maybe the parts that they were just like, this is just too ridiculous and stupid. We've got more important things to deal with, like the stuff that she borrowed from everybody else. And then the rest of it is just kind of, underlying or sidelined or whatever for, whatever reason. It would serve an agenda pretty well, I think, because if your whole thesis is based on these things, I don't know. It plays out in my mind better. I've got to, like I said, I've got to let things crystallize more. But yeah, I think that it could play in very nicely with the whole psyop idea. Ruckman as well, I think, played in very well with the whole idea of a psyop because of just the person that he was. I mean, he did a pretty good job, I think, on a lot of things, but I don't know. I'm also kind of suspicious that they might be altered personalities, or like split personalities, or what do they call them? Jasons, I think. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, it's almost impossible to tell. But it almost seems like that sometimes. Like the Hermas and Barnabas thing is just like, where did this even come from?
It's like it's there specifically to undermine the whole King James Bible believer, movement.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, attack from outside, attack from inside, and maybe people that don't even know, they're unaware that they're being used or manipulated, to put some idea out there that's completely wrong or ridiculous, just to undermine like legitimate people who have real concerns,
Yeah,
about
exactly.
New age, new world Bibles and things like that. So
Yeah. Like Christian McShaffrey or somebody like that kind of came to mind, just as somebody that, would be more legit. But then, the big crazy claims are the ones that get popular.
Would you consider more legit person too? Because I like listening to him quite a bit.
I haven't listened to enough of his stuff to really know. I've listened to some of his Mandela Effect stuff, his shorter ones on like 1 John 5:7. I think I started a few of his Revelation videos, but maybe didn't get all the way to the end of them. 1 John 5:7. I know he likes Gail's stuff from our phone conversation after he was on with what's his face? That, he did say that he likes Gail's stuff and agrees with her basically.
Yeah.
Which honestly, and you guys can be thinking and praying about this as well, I'm having a harder and harder and harder time just even being King James only anymore. I mean, it's not that I'm just gonna be like, just completely fly off the handle or whatever. But seeing how warped the final Bible really is, it's like, how much of this really is legit anyways?
Yeah.
There's still a lot to evaluate and everything. But the more that I listen to somebody like Mark Ward or people like this, the more they just kind of start making sense, and it's just like, they're actually teaching you something. And there are two people only. Let me just check. Maybe kind of Steve Quayle too. Maybe just a little bit. To my knowledge, like I've said before, I haven't read all these books. There are two people on this shelf that I would just be like, no, hands down. They can write an entire page without saying anything. They can write an entire chapter, not an entire chapter. They can write an entire paragraph, and you get nothing from it. Ruckman, Riplinger. Just, yep, this one, that one. It's like, you'll get your ellipsis marked quotes, you'll get your fancy little connection tie-in, weird, allegorical kind of, thing with Gail or whatever, and then the paragraph's over, and then before you know it, you've read 3 of these paragraphs, and now the page is over. And you're just like, wait a second, was that connected? Was Vera Alder talking about Hermas? Was the way that she writes is just, so confusing, because you got to try to, put this sentence together in your mind. And, like the Hermas thing, you could read all those charts, and by the time you're done with it, you're just like, wow, I wonder what the Shepherd of Hermas is about. And you've read 19 pages of things that are supposed to be an abstract of Hermas, and you still have no idea what Hermas is even about. or what it even says about anything, because there's just so many dots all over the place. And then Ruckman is, too busy giving a list of apostate fundamentalists and making some.
Page after page.
What's that?
That's the one main thing. I even have one of my commentaries where I've early ones just kind of marked out the whole paragraphs, and it's like, this is ridiculous. And it's, I understand, they're after him, so I see it after them, but how many times do you have to list 35 Christian universities and people on the other side? Just over and over and over.
Yep.
I have to go through all the separating the meat from the bones. Just make the point. We got you. People don't like you.
Yeah, they're pretty bony books. Yeah, he's got some good stuff in there. Once in a while you hit the paragraph where you're just like, oh, I didn't know this, and then the paragraph's over, and then it's just back to the war of time analogies and just everything else, and it's just like, I gotta read all of this over again until I get to another little nugget, another little patch where he actually talks about something that I'm interested in.
And most of his writings like that, you can't even give it to other people to read.
Yeah.
Even when there's good information.
Yeah. You got to be like, I am so sorry for how he talks. I am so sorry for all of this. If you want to read it, go right ahead. But if you don't, I don't blame you. If you hate me the rest of your life, I also won't blame you. Yeah. So fascinating. And they're both R's. Riplinger is not her actual name. It was, what was it? I forget her last name. Before she was married.
I thought there. Let me think.
It wasn't Ludwig, I don't think.
I think it might have been. There was a Ludwig or something like that, and then there was Kaleda, then Riplinger, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but with those Germans' last names, it just kind of throws me, because there's so much with Project Paperclip that's involved in MK Ultra, like those families and everything, the people that were brought over from Germany. There was so much of it that just ties in with the Illuminati mind control and the sex slaves and altered personalities, and secret space program and everything else like this. It kind of gets to me a little bit with Ruckman sometimes, because what was it? Spray Arm. His father, was it his father that worked on the Manhattan Project?
He was an MIT super duper. I don't remember that, but
okay, because I'm pretty sure that one of his relatives, either his father, I think it was his father, or his grandfather, one of them I think worked on the Manhattan Project, and another one of them was like colonel or something like this in the German army or something, I forget. But with it, I would have to look it up. He must say somewhere. But with that connection, I was just like, oh shoot, I think maybe that might be one of the spots where we're, especially since he put King James Onlyism on the map, like Bill Grady said. I don't know. I'm happy to have all my conspiracy theories, though. My nice little collection. I used to collect rocks as a kid. Now I've got a little tray over here of conspiracy theories that I'm just waiting to hatch. Anyways.
You can't forget the Jesuits, too. They're in there somewhere with all of that in the mix somehow.
Yes. There was a guy that I accidentally let into the Gail Riplinger group in his first post. Did you see him?
I don't think so.
Okay. He I forget his name now, but his first post was a video that was actually pretty good. It was talking about like how eternal security and perseverance of the saints is a misconception and you know, kind of unscriptural and stuff. And I was just like, well, they're making some really good points. I can see where they're coming from and everything. I wouldn't necessarily take everything the way that they do. And I have my own reservations about eternal security. But the video made some good points. It was made by people that at least acted professionally. And the way he presented it was to put it on this post where he just went off on, like, especially Ruckman. And was just like, you know, he's a Jesuit infiltrator, and Gail's got these heresies about eternal security and all these different things, but she's generally okay. And just he just was like, and yeah, like one of the commenters was just like, wow, this is one unhinged post. And yeah, it was involved. And yeah, there were a lot of people that were just like, Joseph, take this dumb post down and stuff like this. And it took me some time to actually get to it because we were busy that day. But it was like, wow. But that was one of the things that he said. He ended up actually, I think, either leaving the group or I had to dismiss him or whatever. Then he actually put in a request to come back in. And then there was another request to come back in by a different person, or at least a different name and a different profile picture. And from the answers that it gave, I was just like, oh, this is... And he had mentioned that he had 2 accounts. And he's like, oh, I could join under this other account or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't know if I can do that, buddy. But yeah, it was obvious from the responses. It was just like, yep, this is just him twice asking to come back in. And I'm just like, nope. I think I actually finally just deleted those 2 requests today. Yeah, it was a little bit nuts, but I never actually... I wanted to, but we were doing a lot of VBSs at that point. Like 1 every week. And, you know, going all over the place and stuff. And on that day, I was like, you know, I had, you know, some like, you know, voice messages going back and forth with him. And I think I might have talked with him briefly. I don't remember. Or yeah, I did. I did talk with him briefly. But I really wanted to get into why he thinks Ruckman was a Jesuit infiltrator. And I've got a hunch, though, that the reason why he's saying that is because he taught the pre-tribulation rapture. That's probably why.
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of people say that that's Jesuit influenced doctrine, which it probably could be. But I've also heard a lot that it wasn't. And Ken Johnson he's got a lot of information about how the pre-tribulation rapture was actually the standard view in the first 2 centuries of church history. The people that talk about the rapture either don't talk about its timing or they talk about it being pre-tribulational. And then it kind of changes from there. At least that's, you know, what he goes through with everything. But yeah, I'm thinking that that's why. But like I'm trying to express, I've got real reservations and real suspicions about Gail and Ruckman. Notice the alliteration. R and R. You know, I don't know. Anyways. And also both possibly being German. And also both of them being divorced multiple times. And apparently Gail had a rough childhood. I guess her father was a drunk or something.
Did they both used to be Catholic? I think
yeah.
Gail mentioned that in a video. Yeah. I don't know if Ruckman used to be or not, but
yeah, he did. He was Catholic for a brief amount of time. I think he might have been raised Episcopal, kind of ish, and then he almost became a Catholic just before he got saved.
Classes and stuff, and he kept asking questions, and they said maybe you should wait.
Yeah, that was an interesting scenario how that played out, at least according to Ruckman, how that worked out.
Was that in Florida, I think? Because I remember watching a video now that reminds me of a video where he was talking about his testimony.
Right. I don't exactly know what.
Yeah, it was in New Orleans, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Where that went down, where it was like where he was talking to the priest and where he almost got confirmed or whatever. So, because the priest asked him if he'd ever been down to the French Quarter, and he's like, no, not really. And the priest was like, they're a little bit immoral, but they've kept the old faith.
Right. That's just about the quote. Yeah.
Yeah.
8 pounds 1 ounce.
Which is also funny because the World of Children was located in the French Quarter of New Orleans.
What's that?
Have you ever heard of the World of Children?
No.
It was a school. I believe it was a what's that? Anti-creativity, wooden toys, dear, what's that called? You might not be out there anymore. It's what? What's that school of thought and education that's like wooden toys and anti-creativity? Montessori? Yeah.
Montessori.
So yep. So it was a Montessori school. It's there's an interview on the confessionals of a lady that it's the episode's called Discovering MK Ultra, and she went to this school, and it was, like I said, it was a Montessori school, and they were constantly being evaluated by people that came in from outside, like with lab coats and stuff like this, and they would do all these complex tests with the kids, like all these like weird puzzles and stuff like this. They taught them extremely advanced chemistry. She said that she knew more than most chemistry graduates before she was even in high school. And just even just crazy stuff. And what else about the school? Like psychological tests and things to see if she could, like, I don't remember if it was like move things with her mind or like see things behind walls, or I forget what it was. Just these different things like that. And as she's talking, Tony Merkel's like, wait a second, and he asked her a couple of questions about these people that were running the tests and everything, and she's just like, oh, how did you know? Yeah, that's exactly what they did. And he's just like, I hate to tell you this, but I think that you were part of MK Ultra. And she's just like, what? And he's like, well, this and this and this, all of this adds up to that conclusion. And she's just like, I think I need a minute. So she left, and about 5 or 10 minutes later she came back on and they finished the interview. But she discovered right there live during their conversation that she was part of all that stuff. Her parents apparently were very involved in the they were all part of the German families that actually came over during Project Paperclip, and a lot of that kind of stuff went down, and Argentina was connected with it as well. She actually got sent to Argentina as a young child, and she's like, I had no idea why I was sent there, and she said that she didn't have any memory of her time there. And just a lot of really, really bizarre stuff. But yeah, connected with the German thing again, the German element. And that kind of reminds me just a little bit. And French Quarter of New Orleans, like I said, that's the school was called. It was in French. I forget what it was actually called, but it was in French. It was translated as the World of Children. So that was the name of the school, and apparently it was, you know, dismantled and everything, but I think it was more so moved and just recontinued someplace else, more than likely.
Like the School of Extraordinary Children, or
yeah, right, the X-Men.
Yeah, I was thinking, or Black Widow or something.
Black Widow, yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Jason
And
Bourne
that stuff is legit. The whole superhero thing, especially with the X-Men and stuff. I personally think that is not necessarily 100% just like they portray it, but I think that a lot of it is actually just kind of not so much predictive programming, but more so just like they want to say these different things, but the best way they can say it is through fiction. There's a guy named Nathan Reynolds that really plays into that. He was, you know, he's part of some, you know, dark stuff with his family and everything. It's very deep rooted in like fallen angel lore and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And he said that one of the things that they did to him was actually to augment his DNA so that he could do things that a normal person can't do. And he was a super assassin, basically. It's a crazy testimony that he has. His YouTube channel is Nathan Reynolds. His interview on the Confessionals is called Bloodline of Monsters. I was actually listening to it when they were out here on their visit. It's a 3-hour-long interview. The first part of it's public. The second part of it, over time, is for members only. The full thing, though, is posted on Nathan Reynolds' YouTube video, or on his YouTube channel. And his book that he wrote, for now, is available. It's called, I believe, Snatched from the Flames. You can get a PDF of it and the audiobook in a zipped folder. You can get both of those for free on his website, snatchedfromtheflames.com. And you can order the book from Amazon. So I would highly recommend at least listening to his interview with Tony Merkel, or, you know, checking out the other interviews he's had with other people. But it confirms a lot, and it's just so it touches so many different facets of, you know, what you talk about with conspiracy stuff. It's mind-blowing. It is probably one of the definitive interviews that has ever been on the Confessionals. It's crazy. So I would highly recommend checking out Nathan Reynolds.
Okay.
So anyways, this is not a paid advertisement. So anyways, crazy stuff. But I don't know. I just keep getting more suspicious as I go on.
Don't get too crazy down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I know the rabbit hole's there, and I know it goes down to some crazy stuff. I don't want to be like, you know, making YouTube videos where I'm like, oh yeah, you know, Gail Riplinger's an Illuminati-controlled sex slave like Marilyn Monroe, and Peter Ruckman was, you know, a super assassin posing as a pastor, and I don't want to say all that because that's dumb. It could be true.
Now. Yeah.
It sounds dumb, but it could be true. And if I say something like that, I just want to be totally clear that, you know, it's just a conspiracy theory. Just relax. I'm just thinking out loud, laying out possibilities. You know, voicing some slight suspicions that I have or whatever, but I'm never going to be like, oh my goodness, did you know this? Until I've got like, you know, like this is just laid out in front of me, like, you know. But man, am I suspicious so often. It's just I don't know. It just seems too much of a coincidence that both of them can just they write sentences as chapters, and their names both start with R, and they both probably have German connections. And Gail apparently, actually, at least according to Phil Stringer, he hasn't gotten back to me on the book yet. But apparently, her and her first husband claimed to be either ex-cult members or ex-occultists or something. And they had like some ministry, I forget what it was called. Phil Stringer talks about it a little bit. He actually thinks that she, like currently, that she may be part of a group. Oh crud! What is it called? It's like it's some really niche down cult kind of thing. It's not like super. It's not a super wonky cult or anything, but it's like one of those kind of marginally Christian cults. Which I don't. I mean, I could probably see that. And apparently, they did have actual connections with the area that this cult was in at the time. So, but I'd have to relook that up. I'm sure I have the notes somewhere. But that was also weird. She did claim to be a New Ager for a brief period of time, or at least subscribed to New Age teaching for some time. Catholicism as well. I think, if I remember right, she had some connections with either Assembly of God or some kind of charismatic group or whatever. I'm not sure. But it seemed like she was involved in a few different things. But she stuck with King James Onlyism for probably the longest out of all of them. It seems. But yeah, it's really weird. And just something else I want to bring up. She said when she was younger that when she would write out Bible verses, like to her mom in a card or whatever, that she would just change the verse around however she wanted to. Or like if she was having an argument with her mom, then she would just take a Bible verse and just be like, okay, well this and that, and then see, look, this Bible verse says that. And she said, I did that because I didn't know any better. I didn't know that, there was like, this whole prohibition in the Bible to not change the Bible. So, when I found that out, I stopped. But when I remember that, I'm just like, oh crud, that's exactly what she's doing with Hermas and Barnabas. Oh, but those aren't scripture. Okay, got it. Real academic over here, I don't know. And that's the thing too, is that she's claiming to be a peer-reviewed, academic person who reviews all of these scholarly papers and knows what an abstract is and all these different things. And then it's like, I'm just like, what?
Yeah. Then she's taking things out of context, same, it appears often.
Yeah. I mean, all the stuff that she does in her book is just like, who peer reviewed your book, Gail? Apparently, you're still awake. You said that you knew somebody that actually went over her books or something? Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, little. Do not listen to Joseph because he's being annoying.
We still hear you.
Oh, he's still there. What do you mean we?
The royal we.
Gotcha. The royal we. Now I want to make an AI graphic of King James playing with a we.
We. You know how you hear teachers like,
from authority.
Class, is it?
Except it's his scepter now. I don't know. Did you said you knew somebody that actually went over Gail's book for like Like actually like reviewed it or something, or
Yeah, I was gonna mention
forget what
that
you said.
earlier. They were, I guess, personal friends with her or something, and they were one of the original reviewers, and they had like a first edition or pre-edition, but they had written it all kind of tons of stuff on it. I mean, like marked it up and corrected stuff. And so, I mean, there's been many printings, and I guess maybe some things were corrected. And I know that newer, bigger 2022 version, which really doesn't seem to have much more content than previously, it just somehow is, another 100 pages. But yeah, early on it was a whole lot of cleaning up stuff, but it still is the land of ellipses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd be fascinated to talk with them. Because
they're around.
Okay.
On Facebook.
Yeah, if you have their contact or whatever, if you could share that, that'd be awesome. I would probably reach out to them and be like, hey, you notice anything strange when you were going through New Age Bible versions? Because,
Yeah, I can do that.
That'd be cool. But I don't know if you're listening or not, but I did add you to the stream. I'm sorry, I didn't realize there was a second tier that I could scroll down to. So you would be live. If you, unmute your microphone, we'd be able to hear your voice. So just letting you know. Let's see. Yeah, it's so weird. So many weird things. And now is not the time for me to bring up Saudi China. Not the time. It's too late for that.
What is that?
Oh, I'm so glad that you asked. Because I was just like, well, no. I wish that you hadn't asked and you're just like, oh yeah, that's crazy. Let me tell you everything about that. Like you usually do. Because I'm so curious about it.
Yes.
Like I bring up Mel's Hole or whatever, and you're just like, oh yeah, let me tell you all about that, sonny boy. Sit back and enjoy the music. Huh?
So we were talking about that at work the other day during lunch. Just happened to come up. I don't know how the conversation started. Just, guys at work. Because I'd mentioned it before, and then people had investigated. So then we had another discussion of it.
That's cool. I wish we had those kind of conversations at work.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Saudi prince or whatever you just mentioned.
Sure, I can just give you a brief.
Okay.
So Saudi China is over in Bulgaria. Bulgaria is supposed to boast a lot of really ancient history. Some more ancient than any other culture, I guess. At least this is the postulation. If you guys want the full rundown, you can check out Mr Mythos, who is, I will say, not a Christian, but he's got a lot of really good research. Mr Mythos is called the Inner Earth playlist, I believe, or yeah, Inner Earth, and it's number 5. It's got a big red blob in the middle, like a fiery looking red blob in the middle of the thumbnail when you find it. Long short of it is there was some apparently extraterrestrial contact with some psychics in Bulgaria and these extraterrestrials apparently wanted to help them dig up the remains of humans' origination on Earth. And apparently what was supposed to be down there was like some sort of being that was in some kind of stasis or whatever. One of the psychics that was not directly involved with the project, but was consulted Baba Vodka or whatever, I forget, the blind prophetess, I think was her nickname. Pretty famous, I guess. But she referred to whatever was down there as a yellow monkey. And she said, you know, what will you do when it speaks? And there was just like this whole process, this whole project that was Bulgarian government funded, to get down into there. And there was a lot of really weird stuff that happened with the psychics and everything. The extraterrestrial race they were supposed to be in contact with was called the Roro. And just like all kinds of, you know, just like super advanced booby traps. Like some giant rock or whatever was one thing that like you couldn't touch it. They had to like do some very specific things with it, because if they touched it, it could, you know, apparently communicate a disease that could destroy all life on Earth in a couple of days. So that was terrifying. And just like a lot of other stuff involved in this whole thing. Not to be punny. So like they're digging down into the ground and everything, and just in the last couple of days before they actually get down to the bottom, apparently the Roro show up and they're just like, everybody get indoors, we've got to do this very special thing that you guys aren't prepared for. You're not even prepared to even meet us. I don't know if it's because of radiation or what it was supposed to be from, but they're just like, you know, stay in there or whatever. And yeah, they ended up leaving, and they got almost down into where they needed to be. And apparently, like, there was this, you know, big red, like either craft or blob or something like they kind of show in the thumbnail. And then guess what? The Bulgarian government people show up, and they're just like, oh, I'm sorry, we're pulling funding. Nobody's able to do anything past this point. You know, we're closing down the project. We're fencing off the area. Nobody's doing anything. And they tried to push back against it and stuff, and, you know, actually get to the bottom of things. And they never did. And apparently it's still a fenced off hole today. It was
and you say that's
it was an interesting thing.
A YouTuber, Mr Mythos? Is that what
Yeah.
All right, I have to check him out.
Yeah, he's got some really cool inner earth mythology kind of stuff that he does. Oh, let's see. I don't know if I can look up the actual. But yeah, that's the incident with Saudi Sheena. The project, this dig and everything was called Project Sunbeam. I'm pretty sure it's called Sunbeam. Let's see, we're gonna go to playlists. Oh, Inner Earth side stories. No. Inner Earth. Yeah, it's Inner Earth Conspiracy Theories number 5 is the title.
Gotcha.
It's an hour and 10 minutes long. And I would highly recommend listening to them in order. But yeah, they're really incredible, the videos that he does. But yeah, if you find out any more about that, the chief lady that apparently the Roro apparently liked to talk to, which, you know, that could easily be, you know, fallen angel kind of nonsense going on there. It's so hard to tell. So hard to tell. And so many things that I need to think about and consider and read about and all this stuff. But I forget the lady's name, but she wrote a book called Saudi Sheena Fateful Contact. And so far, I've only been able to find it in Bulgarian. And I'm sad, to say the least, because I'd love to be able to read this thing. Mr. Mythos quotes it in English. So I'm just like, is there an English translation someplace? Did he Google translate this book? I don't know. But it's a fascinating story. It's a fascinating story. Probably one of the more interesting ones. It'd be great for a Charlotte Mason education if you did a course on aliens or something. But yeah. Just thought I would throw that out there. Like I said, this wasn't the time for it, because we've already been going for 2 3/4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I guess it's working now.
Yeah, it's working. That's okay. So yeah, I don't know if thoughts about that or not, but like Mel's Hole was like one of those stories where I was just like, what is going on? And then the Saudi Sheena was another where I'm just like, what is happening right now? So, but yeah, if you find out anything about it, I'm just gonna be like, you know, you're gonna be my new favorite person. Sorry, dear.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one. I mean, I know about Inner Earth stuff, you know, this and that, but or Hollow Earth or whatever, or also Inner Earth.
He's got a lot of good stuff about the. I think he has a whole episode on the Shaver mystery. Like I remember Lemuria and the Shaver mystery or whatever. He's got a whole long discussion of that, very well researched again, and it probably ties in a lot with the missing 411 if any of that's accurate with the Darrow and the Tarot.
What's the Shaver mystery?
I'm sorry, it's just weird because usually when I mention the weird stuff, you're just like, oh yeah, I know more about that than you. But that's okay, because I don't really know a lot about it myself. I've learned about some of it from Mr. Mythos, and I know I want to buy the books, but haven't actually gotten to it.
So what's the 2-sentence summary of that?
Okay, 2-sentence summary. Lots of commas. Just like I gotta go to bed. And you guys do. You guys have church in the morning and stuff, and I'm just like, I gotta let you go. But 2-sentence summary, a guy apparently claimed to get abducted by inner earth beings that were the Darrow, and apparently the Tarot set him free, and apparently the Darrow are responsible for everything from people getting cold, people getting colds, to international politics. So it's quite a trip. I forget the guy's name. It would have been Shaver. I forget his first name. But he wrote a book called I Remember Lemuria about his whole thing that happened there.
Interesting. I should be writing all this stuff down, but I don't have a pencil. So
no, that's fine. That's fine. You can just ask me later to, like, what was that thing that you said about blah? And I'll be like, oh yeah.
The Grandchildren of Woolpit.
Was that?
What's the other one? The Grandchildren of Woolpit.
Oh.
Yeah, that's one of the. I'm not sure. Yeah, that might be tied in. I'm not sure. Yeah, it is. It's probably another one because all that stuff.
They're like
yeah.
Children.
I think.
Skin.
Yeah. I think. I don't know if Mr. Mythos talks about that one in the series or not. I know I've watched a few videos that talked about it, but I don't remember if they were by him. So it may or may not be part of the playlist. Yeah, and then there was also a comic book series that was published that was called The Shaver Mystery, and it was, I think it might have been, overdone, but it wasn't too far from what he actually said he experienced. So it was quite a thing. And incidentally, it was published by. Do either of you guys watch the CW Flash or Arrow or whatever?
I've heard of it. But...
I've heard of it. I watched a few episodes one time.
I may have heard of it, but I've never.
Okay. There's a guy in there that is like a billionaire tech person. His name... His superhero kind of name was, I believe, Atom. Or Adam, I forget.
Kind of like a Tony Stark.
Ed Palmer.
It's kind of like a Tony Stark.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. I want to say that his last name was Palmer. His first name, I can't remember the first name, but the last name I believe was Palmer. And that's the same name as the guy that actually published the Shaver Mystery for Shaver. And when I noticed that, I was just like, oh crap, this is interesting. So, because yeah, they do that kind of stuff with the Flash, like the Wells guy is supposed to be H.G. Wells, or at least hearkening back to him. I gotta let you guys go. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I keep on bringing up more and more complicated, stupid things, and it's just
more
like
things for me to explore.
What's that?
More things for me to explore.
Yeah, there you go.
Even though I have to be at church at 7:30.
Poor guy. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you go.
You're good.
I've got a funny conspiracy.
What'd she say?
She said she had a funny conspiracy real quick.
Well,
cool.
Well, what is it?
What was it? Okay.
Hold on. She's thinking.
Biden is played by Jim Carrey and Kamala Harris is a man.
Yeah. Did you hear that?
What's that?
Biden is played by Jim Carrey. That's not really Biden. It's Jim Carrey wearing a mask and everything, and Kamala Harris is a man. She said that's her conspiracy theory.
I like it.
Well, like Michelle Obama.
Oh yeah, that too.
Big Mike.
Yeah.
Michael. No. Yeah. Whatever her maiden name was. Big Mike.
But some guy told me, and he really believes it.
Yeah, some guy really believes that Biden is actually Jim Carrey in a bunch of makeup and suit and everything.
Well, there definitely seems to be multiple of him going around. The other day when he was on the back stoop in the portico of the White House, he was like a foot taller than he usually was over his wife.
That's just Jim Carrey trying to mess with us. He's like,
and then there's pictures of Biden where his ear is like a lobe at the bottom, and others it's straight down, attached without a lobe. And I reposted some of that the other day on Facebook, and I got dinged. It said there was no just two pictures of Biden, and it got dinged that it was no basis in fact.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they're gonna have a Biden that can walk in a straight line to a car, get in and drive, they're gonna have somebody acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey is the perfect candidate, especially with his facial expressions.
Yeah.
Wouldn't put it past him.
Nope.
Anyways,
he's the man.
I can't believe it. This whole thing has been recorded.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Uh-oh. Anyways. Well, that's cool though, because we got this whole this whole thing for posterity.
Yeah. And to file it away.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yep.
Well, I should really let you guys go. I should respect your time more than this.
Don't you ever get to go to bed, or you're just pulling an
Me, I
all-nighter.
don't get to go to bed. I never go to bed. I just
Well, that's like me.
edit the
So
page,
that's-
fall asleep in my chair, wake up, edit the page some more, fall asleep in my chair.
I mean, that's the way I am, except that I have to be up so early.
Yeah.
Which I don't like.
Thank you guys for joining me and for, caring even a little bit about, what I have to say about all kinds of wacky things. And
We'll probably block you soon.
you'll probably block me soon.
Yeah.
Too many rabbit holes.
Yeah, right.
Overload.
Yeah. And please don't feel obligated if you're just like, some night you're just like, I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to see him. I know he's going to be up till 1 or 2 or something like this, just rambling about his nonsense. Please,
Well,
don't feel you guys have to come on or whatever. I mean, it's nice, but it's not. Yeah. I don't want to wear out my welcome with you guys, or like I said, I want to respect your time and not impose on things. But I want your presence here to be just of your own free will. So basically, and no obligation. So anyway,
yeah.
It's always fun.
glad you guys have fun.
I like listening to y'all.
Yeah, my wife.
And
likes
yeah.
Noah's Ark, Amelia Earhart, all those things are right down in Mel's hole.
Yeah. That's the ultimate rabbit hole.
Discovered the lost city of Atlantis.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
That we're not allowed to see.
The lost what? Atlantis or whatever?
Yeah.
Or all that stuff, all the flat earth folks, that there's the edge with the ice and all that we're not allowed to go see
Mm.
on the edge.
Oh yeah. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff after that. At least according to some flat earth people.
Oh, what do they say? They're at the edge of the firmament, like the Truman Show. So that was.
Well, the edge of the firmament is nowhere near the ice wall, apparently. Apparently the ice wall is just something that's around us, and then there's all these different land masses and civilizations and stuff outside of the ice wall, and
So we're like in the third circle of hell.
something like that.
Just go out to the next ring.
Yeah.
But I have not heard that there's another. So we're
I have an after.
Middle Earth.
Yeah, exactly. I'll have to see if I can find one of those videos where they show one of those maps.
Good. And the firmament and all that. Truman Show, that was just, letting it out, letting the information out.
And that starred Jim Carrey. I think your
course.
wife's right, Daniel.
I think
Oh, yeah.
so.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
And then there was the Stephen King book, Under the Dome.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Yep.
Mhm.
There's a whole series.
And
whole
I heard
other
at work
story.
that he wasn't actually into horror at all. He just wrote about things that scared him when he was younger.
Huh. Interesting.
That's what I heard.
About it.
Right,
He
where
did write a
there's
book
this-
called. He did write a book called Own Writing, which I don't have, that talks about his writing.
Well, that's your next buy right there.
I know. I've got his last 3 books and I haven't read any of them. Too busy. But I get them anyway.
Alrighty.
Where's the cats?
I think they're outside. Oh, thank goodness.
They're going to get it eaten.
There's a kitty.
Oh, that's a
A
kitty.
kitty.
It's like saying, why are we not in bed? Why are we not in bed?
He's like, what's wrong with you people?
Why are you up?
We gotta go to church and recite the catechism tomorrow. Go to bed.
The catechism. Womp.
Catechism.
Alrighty. There's this little button over here that says end the stream. It's calling my name. So you guys got to go to bed. We can't just stay up indefinitely, even though it would be fun and hilarious.
I'm doing, but he's
I don't
even
know.
more silent than me.
Yeah, he's
actually
just
there.
probably just listening, I guess. I don't know.
What's this nut house going on here?
Exactly.
He's ready to block us.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night, guys. I appreciate y'all.
Good night.
You're the best.
Adios, muchachos. And
Yeah,
chips.
Have a good Sunday. Get some sleep. All that good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.